My girlfriend's mother, 54F, wants to take my 26M last name.
To give context, my partner, 25F, and I have been in a relationship for a number of years now, and as of the past few weeks we have began to discuss the prospect of marriage, given that we've been looking to buy a house together,
Have been living together in an apartment for roughly a year,
and that I'm on track for a promotion. It definitely seems like the right time. However, my partner's family has been going through a rough patch in the past few years. Firstly, her mother is no longer on speaking terms with her parents, for reasons that I won't go into, but they've been non-contact for just a little longer than my girlfriend and I have been together, and is currently undergoing quite a bitter divorce with her husband, my girlfriend's dad. The consequence of this is that while she doesn't want to go back to her maiden name, which she associates with the parents she doesn't get along with, she is understandably in no hurry to keep her ex-husband's name. When my girlfriend brought up to her mother that we are discussing marriage, she was obviously very pleased for us. But somewhere within the conversation she mentioned that she might take my last name when my girlfriend does, for a range of reasons. I'm not super happy about this. First of all, my name is foreign and as such it is very distinct and hard for English speakers. We live in an English-speaking country. To pronounce and spell it's quite distinct to me, and it will be glaringly obvious that the mother has taken my last name. Also, and I don't know if I'm being unreasonable here, so I'm going to be open-minded about whether I'm just being oversensitive, but it kind of feels like it's giving her mother an undue inclusion into our relationship, which almost seems a bit incesty. Again, I might be reading too much into this. My question is whether I should be resistant to this. I'm not 100% certain how my girlfriend feels about this, as I haven't expressed any reluctance to this. But from what I can tell from how she was when she was mentioning it, she seems to be on board with it. Would I be wrong to bring this up? On one hand, it does seem like a small compromise on my end to help a woman who is in a difficult situation in deciding something as important as her name, and has gone through an awful lot with regards to her divorce and parental issues. On the other hand, I can't shake my discomfort with this. Advice on what to do, how to handle this more generally welcome. What a very strange thing for her to want to do. You can't exactly stop her. She can choose any name she likes, but you would certainly be within your rights to be reluctant about it. It sounds like you need to make your feelings known to your girlfriend in the first instance. You might find the problem disappears if you just mention you're uncomfortable with it. I've never heard of someone taking their child's last name when married. A little odd to me. You're allowed to have your feelings on it. She can literally make up a name and change it to that. Yeah, this seems weird to me. Like, I get that her intent may be to break away from her natal and marital families and form a new one with her daughter, but it still feels weird that she's essentially taking your name. I'd recommend start with discussing with your partner and see how she feels about it, and express to her how you feel about it. That is unusual and definitely requires all three of you to be on board with this. She can change her name to anything, but I get having the same last name as her future grandchildren if she hates her other family. I think she probably wants to feel included in the family you and your girlfriend would like to start, and I can see with what's going on that she might feel the need to belong in a family. But I do think you need to talk to your GF about how uncomfortable you feel, and that maybe she should help her mom come up with a new last name that is hers and reflects her and her new independence. This will help prevent feeling the need to change it somewhere down the road. That would be a hard no for me. If she doesn't want either of her previous names, why doesn't she just pick IDK. Any other name in existence? Does she have a grandparent or someone in her own family that she admires? She should look into her own family tree or just pick a random last name she enjoys. You can't stop her, but you can tell your girlfriend it seems creepy to you. You aren't marrying a mother and a daughter. Yes, it's unusual, but unlike the other commenters here, I don't think it's inherently bad or a red flag, even if it had the potential to be. Maybe just like a yellow proceed with caution flag? This seems like something that requires a lot more conversation between the three of you. And maybe even your parents too. I both see why you would be freaked out about it, especially since no one does that, and also get her reasoning. I know a number of moms for who only took their husband's last name because they wanted to have the same last name as their children. They wanted and needed that connection to the family unit they created and literally birthed. Like, I bet this would not have come up at all if your GF were planning to keep her maiden father's name. It may sound odd, but I think you're incidental to this. I doubt she wants to be part of your marriage, but instead just wants to maintain a connection to the only family she has left, her daughter. Granted, all this is giving her the benefit of the doubt. This is one of those scenarios where it could vary from wholesome to creepy entirely depending on the personalities of all involved. You and your GF know her better than we do, so only you can judge for sure. Some food for thought, discussion. If you don't want her to have your last name, why not take your GF's last name when you marry? Or why not come up with a new last name in honor of your new family? It feels like something a 16th century family would cook up to hide a scandal. She becomes your ward and she takes your name, and honor is restored. I'd go with something like, I'm really honored that you want to share a last name with me and your daughter. I know that the family you've had to leave behind is so very different from the family you're choosing now. To be honest, I was caught off guard when you first suggested it. I've never known anyone who's done something like this, so it's a new idea to me. I totally understand that you can't go back and it's important for you to move forward in a positive way. Have you thought much about who you want to be after the divorce? You get a chance to redefine who you are without being tied to anything in your past. Have you considered taking a new name that belongs just to you? I've heard of some couples when they get married who just make up a name instead of picking either one or other or combining them. And many trans people try out a few new names before they find one that fits the new them they're becoming. I don't want you to feel like you're taking my name out of convenience. You know, I've had some people who can't even say it properly, and they misspell it more often than is like. Have you thought how you'll deal with that? You've got time before you need to do any paperwork. Remember, we'll still love you even if you want to change it to insert last name of enemy politician. Quote. At the end of the day though, if she's changing her name, there's probably nothing legally you can do to stop her using yours. If it makes you really uncomfortable, and the above suggestions aren't something you could use, hopefully you can tell her. Honestly, I see it as a huge compliment that she considers herself so close to you that you are the family she wants. Ooh, no. Maybe you could suggest she changes her name to someone she respects? Like someone she knew growing up who cared about her, or a person in the public eye. It's an odd thing to do. I guess she just wants to have the same last name as her daughter, like she has so far? I'd be weirded out by it. But in the end, you can't stop her. You don't own the rights to that name. This is so bizarre. Is she paving the way for you to play knight in shining armor and rescue her when you marry her daughter? This has heavy package deal vibes. Ick. You need to make it explicitly clear who you are marrying, and who you are not. Nope. Nope. Not petit nope. If she is changing her name, she can change it to anything else. Help her come up with a great last name that isn't yours. That is creepy. Up. If it makes you uncomfortable, then you need to have a discussion with your so about this. She needs to know how uncomfortable it makes you, and how it may affect your relationship with her mother going forward. Because it's already making you uncomfortable, your so should be shutting this down. Hard. It's a weird situation, and you don't have to accept it or be okay with it. Regardless of Mil's reasoning, if you feel like this would be giving Mil an undue inclusion in your relationship, then you're probably right. Do you feel like she's trying to slide into third wheel territory? Is she treating you like a substitute husband, e.g., being too clingy or emotional towards you, asking for favors that would normally be handled by one spouse, etc.? Or does she respect your role as her daughter's so, and generally leave you alone? You said you have a foreign name, and Mil isn't from a place where your last name would be widely used. It's pretty brazen of her to just assume part of your family's identity like that, especially uninvited. To me, that feels like an overstepping of some boundaries, especially since she didn't even discuss the idea with you before presenting it to your so. It would be completely different if your family was super close to your Mil, and someone from your family had suggested the name change. But that didn't happen. It just feels off to me that Mil didn't even ask you for your thoughts, feelings first. It's like she just assumed it would be an okay thing to do. There's nothing you can do to stop her from taking your name, but you could suggest other meaningful names instead. Maybe she would like the idea of going through her family tree and choosing a new surname from someone other than her parents. I personally like the idea of using a super old family name, going back like 200 years, or choosing the name of someone special, such as a great-great-grandma or favorite aunt. Alternatively, maybe she would like to look up some surnames unique to her family's heritage, but not specific to her actual family. She could even make up a new name altogether, or choose a name inspired by something she enjoys. Religious, spiritual texts, if applicable to Mil, favorite books, movies, or music, or even her favorite place to visit could all be sources of inspiration for a meaningful last name. As a mom, I agree. It's incesty and completely gross. Let her make up a name. It is not your responsibility to heal your soon-to-be mother-in-law. She's an adult, one who could probably use some therapy. I would definitely speak up. While your future Mil has every right to want to move on from her own last name, she could pick literally any other last name in the world. I think it's incredibly presumptuous of her to inform you she's thinking about taking yours. The whole idea of it is super weird and would make most people quite uncomfortable. Giving your name through marriage is a personal and intimate act. I also feel she can be close and connected to the family your GF and you are creating without taking on your literal family name. Just do an unnecessary and bound to create confusion more than anything. I'm a woman married to a man and I didn't take his last name, but good God, I would be furious if my mom tried to pull this stunt. I'd keep it short and simple. I've thought about your suggestion to take my family name and I'm really not comfortable with that idea. I'd love to help you brainstorm a new name if that's what you'd like to do. When the inevitable but why's come up, I don't think I should have to justify my discomfort with this. My family name is something I give to my wife, not my mother-in-law. I'm not on board with this plan. You should explore other options. If she says you can't control what I change my name to, I understand the law on this, but that's not the point. I've stated my boundary on this matter, and if you were to ignore my wishes, it would seriously damage my relationship with you going forward. I've said my piece and will not be discussing this further. You know where I stand. Be firm. Use I statements. And don't directly insult her. And if your GF tries to tell you you're ruining the relationship with her mother, remind her firmly that her mother did that all by herself when she very presumptively assumed you'd be cool with her taking your name. I think she just wants to keep a family name with her daughter.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.